my accomplishments, who am I kidding? Our accomplishments, you played a part of this too. Something that I didn't think would come so frequent. And to be honest, I'm not gonna cap. It's something that when people doubted me, I brought doubt into myself with as well. But to be real, I have such a great support system between you, between Bert, between TJ, Eric, everyone that is behind me. There's no way I can lose. And even when I do, it's still a W. One thing I don't want to be is that guy that is perceived as a jerk for lauding their accomplishments, but I'm really excited on the things that we've accomplished over this year and the things that we continue to accomplish as long as we continue to play. And to be honest, I want to inspire everyone out there that wants to do better for themselves, regardless if it's just this card game or if it's even more. So I have to say, as I put up this regional qualifier map, holy yes, again, let's go! I do it with excitement, I do it with honor, I do it with grace, but most importantly, I did it because of you. Without you guys backing me up, I don't think it would have been possible, which is why I say we did it, and we're gonna keep doing it until they put some respect on our name. I'm gonna be going over the deck profile that got me here. This deck is insane. I'm telling you, boys. Ironically, this deck has a lot of properties that are similar to the decks that I already play. But of course, I'm gonna be giving you in detail why I played this Chaos Dragon deck and why it's so powerful against even the strategies that it doesn't have a natural advantage of, and how I was able to be so successful with it. But where do we put this? I can move this one, right? Yeah. Her has always been one of my favorites. Then this one, oh, big bad baby. In case you were wondering, these frames are 14 by 24. Don't ask me where I got them. Sabrina got them for me. I think it was on Amazon because that's where she shops a lot. But let's go ahead and get into this profile. Bam! Now, as much as I like that World Championship regional qualifier mat, I love my own brand even more, and you guys can pick up your Clash of the New Gods mats at TheCaliEffect.com. See how Bestial Lubellion is going against Cashier Finrer in an ultimate match to decide who is the new god. Also pick up your Raven Wing sleeves and other accessories alike. I'm telling you, the Raven Wing sleeves are the only sleeves that I use. They're literally specifically built and tailored to my loving. But enough of that, big dog. A very quick regional recap, because you guys will be able to see the vlog coming up very soon. And for the people that want to see test hands, I will be putting them on my Patreon as a special thank you for helping me pay my editors. I played against a lot of super heavy samurai, which ironically is not a bad matchup for this deck. Every single time they made that Appaloosa, Baron, and Therion King Regulus board, I was able to break it. Also played against Sword Soul, and in the top tables, I played against Drytron and Heroes. Shout out to my boy D-Type. And my losses were to Catch Tira for not necessarily knowing how this deck interacts with it very well as a branded, because unfortunately, I bricked twice. I would personally call this deck a Dark Dragon deck, because in my opinion, the most important card of the deck is Bestial Lubellion. Now, a lot of players have been playing 2 copies of the Bestial Lubellion, which I think is cool. If you guys can't afford it, 2 could work. But the reason why I actually played 3 is to help me dodge Droll and Lockbird. This is single-handedly one of the best cards in the entire deck, because not only does it frequently get you a light monster into the graveyard, it also helps you set up your combo. There's also 3 copies of Bestial Magnum Hunt. I really like this card, and it's one of the best cards in the deck because every turn it allows you to search a dragon. Keep in mind, even if the Bestial monsters aren't being used as hand traps, they get you so much advantage, like Serenair being able to send Branded Regain to the graveyard, or getting a light monster into the graveyard to be able to pop off with your combos depending on what you need. Drua's Worm being able to get rid of one of your opponent's special summon monsters, and though I only used its effect once, Baldrake is another Bestial name that you can summon to your side of the field. Personally, I completely love this Bestial lineup. It was the best part of the deck, though I am an Albaz lore stan, so I could be a little bit biased. I also played, of course, 1 copy of Branded Beast. This card was completely cracked. It's normally the card that you set up with, and while I didn't really use Regain much throughout the tournament, this card is actually important for being able to recycle your dragon monsters. Overall, the Bestial monsters came to play, and the main objective of this particular deck isn't to make some super oppressive board that your opponent can't break. It's actually just to survive to the next turn. Whatever board that I make going first, if I can survive to the next turn, I get so much advantage that you're either able to OTK your opponent or break whatever their board is. And in the battle of attrition, this deck is actually crazy because you get so many resources. Keep in mind, Magnemite can add those bestial monsters from the graveyard to your hand. Next for the Chaos cards, Chaos Dragon Levianeer is an absolute god card, guys. A lot of players have not been playing Chaos Emperor Dragon. This card has actually helped me play around Joel and Lockbird by allowing me to use my bestial monsters to banish the cards in my graveyard that I need to my hand and essentially add this card. There's one copy of Black and White Dragon, and then the main card of the deck. I think this is the most important card, and I'll explain into it a little bit more. And lastly, to wrap up the Chaos engine, there's 3 copies of Chaos Space. One thing that I really loved about this deck is that I can take full advantage of Gamma, as I have 3 points of searches where I can have no monsters on the field and my opponent is really tempted to droll or ash me, and I can punish them heavily. It actually happened quite a bit. Now, these 2 parts were equally the best parts of the deck. The actual worst part of the deck, you guys would be surprised when I said this, but the Rocket Monster severely underperformed. There's 2 Tracers, 1 Charger, 1 Router, 3 Launch, 1 Boot Sector. I activated Rocket Tracer's effect to summon maybe once. I sent Router to the graveyard maybe once. I used Boot Sector Launch's effect maybe twice. To be honest, I would 100% cut these cards if Quick Launch did not special summon Rocket Tracer to the side of the field, and Rocket Tracer being the only great level 4 Dragon Tuner. Lastly, to wrap up the Dragons, there's 1 copy of Noctivision Dragon and 1 copy of Dragon Ravine. I think here's where I can start to explain Starlight Safer. A lot of times players would just use Starlight Safer to be able to add Black and White Dragon and go on with their combo. What I wanted to do with this particular deck is make Starlight Safer the star of the deck, since it's my only real normal summon outside of Rocket Tracer, which I ain't gonna cap, that's a good normal summon even if I didn't use its effect. And you can see in this deck building process that Starlight Safer can actually search everything in the deck. Starlight Safer can send Router to send Noctivision. It can send a Rocket Tracer to search White Dragon. You can send your Bestials to search your Chaos cards or any way or form in between. And my favorite thing is sending Bestial Cyreneer to add Magnemite and sending Lubellion to graveyard. Oh my god, it was crazy. I wanted this deck to be versatile, and if I ever use Starlight Safer to activate its effect on the field and remained on the field, I wanted to be able to search a card that even if my opponent drolled me, they're really still in a really tough spot. Now, ironically enough, this is a 44 card Yu-Gi-Oh deck. That was actually by design. I wanted 44 cards, but for my hand traps, I played 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird and 3 copies of Psyframe Gear Gamma, but of course, your healthy driver. That's it. One thing that I noticed in a hand trap format is that unless you're playing a ton of hand traps, they don't matter. Ash Blossom, Effect Veiler, Infinite Impermanence, those cards are good, but only good in this format against some of the top decks when you have multiple. I wanted my hand traps to stand out by themselves and actually do something important. Now, the next 3 cards in my main board I use to reset tempo. There's 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More. Again, I don't necessarily care about killing my opponent if my opponent is going first. I want to be able to reset the board and then set up my own. If I survive that turn, which a lot of the times is going to be really hard to kill me, I pretty much win because I outgrind you. I thought that this card was way more impactful than any other hand trap that I could play, like Ash, Ogre, Effect Veiler, Imperm, etc., and was a great card when I did see it, and there were times where I wanted it. Lastly, to make this deck 44 cards, I felt the most threatening card to the deck was Droll, so I played Called By, and then the Triple Tactics talent to make it 44. This card was really good, but actually coincides with my sideboard, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But the main reason why I played 44 cards of this masterpiece of a Yu-Gi-Oh deck is because in theory, you see your 1-ofs less in a 44 card deck, but you see your 3-ofs not too much less. My guy, I would rather see any of my 3-ofs over seeing a Black and White Dragon, even the Levianeer and Chaos Emperor, Rocket Tracers, Rocket Rechargers, the Psyframe Driver, hell, the Ravine and Boot Sector. It worked magically. I was actually really surprised with the results of that particular logic of running 44 cards, but it did just so happen to me in a dream. My ancestors whispered in my ears, "Play 44 cards, child, you can do that." It's the same ancestors that be telling me how to season, so you know it's spice. Now, the extra deck is ridiculously standard for the exception of maybe 2 cards. I'm gonna go ahead and blaze through it, and if I played it and how useful it was. Borlin, never summoned it, didn't need it. Access Code Talker, used it once, needed it. Triple Burst Dragon, never used it, though I won't drop this card. This card's godly. Nightmare Unicorn, played it once. Sideframe Lambda. This card's a god card. This was actually one of the different cards that I've seen for a lot of players' decks. They're playing Dark to Dark Charmer. I'm playing Sideframe Lord Lambda is because my opponent has to respect me having Gamma in my hand, despite me having monsters, allowing me to help me break boards a little bit simpler, and it's a light monster. One Romulus, played it a lot. One copy of IP, played it every time I Gamma my opponent. My end board with Gamma would normally end on Heretic Seals, Borreload Savage Dragon, IP Masquerena, Druid Swarm in hand, Beast on field, and like 4 cards in hand. So like, they were getting cooked. One Borreload, this card was literally just bait. I think that that's pretty funny. One Baron, actually never played it. One Bestial, Dispeter. Oftentimes in certain combo situations, you make Dispeter and you link it off, and then you play Branded Regained, which allows you to summon Peter back, which is really cool. And my super secret sexy weapon, I summoned this card in like 70-80% of the games, was Chaos Angel. Now, Chaos Angel is literally a god card, especially if my opponent has already kaiju'd me. Most super heavy samurai players are only playing 1 kaiju. Catch tier players, I mean, getting 2 kaijus in a game is awfully a lot. And normally, my opponent cannot make a monster stronger than this. Not that it can be destroyed by battle anyway. Chaos Angel is just another reason why I would call this a Chaos Dragon deck. This card is one of the best boss monsters to have ever existed in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! In my humble opinion, and has put my opponent on, hey, yo, you're gonna kaiju my board? Well, now you gotta deal with this. Moving forward for my side deck, I think there's some spice in here you would like. There's 3 copies of Eradicator Epidemic Virus. This is for Labyrinth, this is for Branded, this is for spell-heavy decks like Runic. This is for Pearly. It's kind of cracked, and it's the reason why Biscuits are good. I cite in 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent every time I go first. Obviously, we take out the Dark Ruler no more. 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. This is actually good against super heavy samurai, and it's also good against background. It's pretty good against Kashtira too. Like, yo, citing these in alongside a Book of Moons, you're winning. Book of Moon is also extremely good against a lot of rogue decks, as well as Pearly. When they activate Pearly Leap on their Pearly Plump, you can chain Book of Moon and they cooked. I like Santa Claus as my kaiju of choice because I could summon it over the Ibli and then bring out Rocket Chaser and make a Chaos Angel, but also it is a Chaos Space target that gets you into your dark card. And lastly, never needed it, but Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. But that's it for the main board, the sideboard, and the extra deck, guys. Of course, I'm going to be putting those test hands on Patreon, but I guess I can show you like the average inboard that this deck had at very worst. I actually want to showcase how Chaos Emperor Dragon plus Seyfried could be a crazy cracked combo and why I think this card is so good, but this could be almost any extender. You're pretty much golden. What you're going to do is normal summon Seyfried, use its effect, add Black Dragon, then banish the Seyfried to summon Black Dragon for a link, turn Black into Striker Dragon, chainlink 1 Striker Dragon, or chainlink 2 Striker Dragon, chainlink 1 Black Dragon Calip Serpent, at the boot sector launch, add the White Dragon, banish the Black Dragon to summon the White Dragon. Now we're going to link off the Striker Dragon and the White Dragon Wyvern Buster. We're going to make the Dragoonity Knight Romulus and use Romulus's effect to be able to add from the deck to the hand the Dragon's Ravine. Now here's where things get really interesting. Sometimes I would use Dragon Ravine to discard the boot sector, but I'm just gonna go ahead and activate Chaos Emperor, destroy the Chaos Emperor to get the Seyfried back into my hand, and now I'm gonna activate the Ravine and send the Seyfried to the graveyard. Seyfried will allow me to send Bestial Lubellion, and I never used its graveyard effect, so let's go ahead and use that Seyfried to get Lubellion back into our hands, and then use its effect to search again. We're gonna search the Bestial Magnamut here. Using the effect of Magnamut, I'll banish the Striker Dragon to summon itself to the side of the field, declare the effect of Magnamut, and then we will tribute off the Magnamut for the Bestial Lubellion, declaring the effect of Lubellion, allowing us to put Branded Beast to our side of the field. Lastly, we'll use the Lubellion and the Dragoonity Romulus for a link summon into our Heretic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. And then resolving the effect of Magnamut, you'll get Bestial Druid Swarm. Look at this combo we have right here. I'll explain it. Keep in mind, I did that with 2 Yu-Gi-Oh cards, meaning that if I have, any other Yu-Gi-Oh cards, we cooking. Like, I don't know, if I just so happen to draw the Tracer, I mean, boot sector launch here. Or if I drew the Lubellion, I could have just used Ravine to send the Apsa Router. In the very basic form, you have Heretic Seal to be able to tribute itself to bounce an opponent's card and special summon a dragon monster from deck. I didn't decide to go in the Albaz route or anything crazy. I went with a simple Magnemite. We also have the effect of Bestial Druid's Worm. Druid's Worm can banish the seal to summon itself, and then you can use Branded Beast to tribute off the Druid's Worm to destroy a card and then send another monster special summon. Oftentimes, you can prevent yourself from being OTK just off of that, and that's the only thing. We just don't want to get OTK. Now, resolving the effect of your Bestial Magnemite, you can actually add a monster like Chaos Dragon in this situation. On your following turn, you'll draw one random card from your deck to your hand. You can send the Chaos Dragon to the graveyard with your Ravine. You can then send another copy of Starly Safer, using Safer to add the Lubellion and then discarding the Lubellion to search another Magnemite. Oh, almost forgot. My apologies. This Rocket Tracer gets searched off of the effect of Chaos. From here, you can tribute off the Magnemite to summon the Lubellion, using its effect to be able to place Branded Regain. Now you activate Magnemite. You can go ahead and banish a monster, any card of your choice. You can banish the white and put it back to the bottom of your deck to draw another Yu-Gi-Oh card. Oh, and you know, seeing that I have it normal summon here, I can just normal summon the Rocket Tracer. We can use the Rocket Tracer and the Magnemite for a synchro summon. You can make Bestial Dispeter. Peter can summon the Safer. Safer will then send itself to the graveyard. Oh, look, a white dragon. Oh my god, yo, didn't we just do things with this card? Hypothetically, if we had another Bestial monster we can summon to the side of the field, we can make Chaos Angel. But if I stop messing with my opponent, I can just summon the Chaos Emperor Dragon to my side of the field by banishing a light and a dark monster. And that is, yeah, that's a lot. But overall, you're seeing the power of this Chaos Dragon type deck. Now you're starting to understand why I think it's more of a Chaos Dragon deck than a Dragonlink Yu-Gi-Oh strategy, but you're gonna call it whatever you want to. Hopefully you learned a lot from it, as it was a very, very fun deck to play. If I had to give it something, it is 100% a mid-range deck like Sword Soul. I was literally calling it Sword Soul 2 this whole time, but of course, if you want to see more amazing content, be sure to check out these videos, big dog, and I'll catch you on the next one.